Janelle Monae in studio with The Bert Show. How are you?
I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Now, you look beautiful. Let me say that.
Thank you.
Are the sunglasses because you've been going from city to city to city, and I'm guessing you're getting about 20 minutes on each stop?
No, it's just so sunny here in Atlanta.
It is nice, huh?
Yeah.
Now, you're from here. I mean, you consider this, you're born in Kansas, right?
Yep, Kansas City, Kansas.
But this got a lot of history for you here.
Oh, yeah. This is where I started as an independent artist and musician, right in the AUC, right off Parsons Street, and all my albums I've recorded here.
Yeah.
Everything that is Janelle Monae started right here in Atlanta.
Yeah.
So when you left New York City, what was the draw that brought you to Atlanta? You knew this was the city you had to come to.
My best friend went to school here. She went to Clark Atlanta University, and she was just having the time of her life. Like, I was in a conservatory, small performing arts school in New York. We didn't have a campus. We didn't have sororities. We didn't have fraternities. And she was just like, I would call her stressed out, and my school was amazing. I loved going to that school. But she was just living the life. And because I left my school in New York, I didn't want to go home because you don't want people asking you, well, what happened? Well, why didn't you finish? And blah, 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 blah. So I didn't want people judging me or trying to tell me that I did the wrong thing by leaving. And I ended up just going and living a block away from her. And we had so much fun. And it was the best decision because it was here that I got the opportunity to just play my music in front of like strangers who didn't know me, who were, young, progressive, trying to shape the future. It was just great to hear their responses and to have their support early on.
What does your life look like right now? Because as Kristen said, you come down to Atlanta, and I think the story goes something like you meet Big Boi. Big Boi introduces you to Sean Combs, and we got a history with Bad Boy at that point. So if that meeting doesn't happen or you don't come to Atlanta, what does your life look like right now? Or do you think you're in the same place?
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows? I mean, I think not being around for those opportunities to happen could have, pushed me to another career. I think that I still would be an artist, but I don't know if, well, let me respond to that. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I think it was just great that I was available for those opportunities. And I just want to say thank you to Big Boi from Outkast and Sean, Diddy Combs, and, everyone who believed in me as an independent artist. I started my label here in Atlanta, and I didn't have distribution, and, I just didn't have the resources to really get my music off the ground. And when I met them, they really did help, push my name to a more national and global level.
We know you now, and I'm looking at you, and you walk in the door, and it feels iconic. We'll get into Prince maybe here in a little bit also. Back then, did you have this sort of aura, this specialness about you, or were you a very different person back then?
Just so you know, we don't feel cool enough to be in the same room
with you
right
now. No,
you're not worthy.
You guys look and you look amazing. I'm happy to be here. I'm honored to be here. I don't know. I mean, I guess you would have to ask someone else. You know what I'm saying? I just feel a little...
There's a confidence.
Style evolves, too.
Yeah,
style evolves as well as you grow into your artistry.
All of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Were you, I think there's going to be sort of a reoccurring theme of freedom when it comes to your life also. As you said, you were in New York, you come down to Atlanta, you're looking to do something new and something free. When you first started your career and you weren't as known then, you didn't have a resume of success, was that a real difficult time for you when people were telling you what to do and what not to do?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I went through some tough conversations and having to make decisions just based off my own inner soul clock, I like to say it, or my inner compass. I had to really follow that and follow, my core values. Why am I doing this? What is this? What matters most to me? Because you have a lot of people's opinions. And if I say this to all the artists who ask me, like, can I get a piece of advice, or what would you say for new and up and coming artists? I would say, please have a great sense of who you are and what you want to do and what you want to get from this music industry and what you want to give to this music industry. It's very important to have that development before you sign a major deal. before you get into a business relationship, make sure that you know who you are and what you want to say, and it's rooted in something that is not selfish, but is also community. Thinking about my community has kept me not so much so thinking just about me. When I do it, when I get tired, it's not because I want to do it. It's because there are a lot of other people who are dependent on me to do what it is that I do. Whether it's a song, whether it's a performance, you want to do it for something bigger than yourself. You want to do it because this is your purpose. And getting in contact and in tune with your purpose is really important to me, in my opinion.
Janelle Monae on The Bert Show.
Speaking to that, because there's been a lot of talk about legacy lately, what would you like your legacy to be? Are you still in the process of figuring that out?
I mean, I'm still growing. This is a journey for me. And I've never been the type of person or artist to want to climb to the top extra fast. I hear it's lonely up there anyway.
I think you're pretty darn close right now.
No, I'm still in the journey. I mean, this album right now feels like my first album because I knew that I was supposed to make this album before my first album, The Archandroid.
Really?
So yeah, absolutely. And I needed to just make myself available and have conversations with myself. And also the way that I wanted to release it wasn't just to release the album. I wanted to release it with what people are calling like a short film, a narrative-driven film, a visual album, but I like to call it an emotion picture because it starts with me. It starts with my emotions first, and I had to get that done. It's 48 minutes of visuals, and it has a storyline, and it's meant to complement the album. So I'm just still on a journey. To answer your question, I hope that I'm remembered for giving, for my charity. Yeah, for my charity work. I think when I think about people like my grandmother and the people that I love most, and even also a mentor to me like Prince, they gave, whether it was knowledge, whether it was time. They took the opportunity to give back and to help the next artists and people coming up after them. And, Prince would do that a lot. He did that for me. He never allowed his mystery to get in the way of his mentorship. And so I hope that I can be as charitable as he has been, and my grandmother and so many people in my life that have helped me along the way.
We're going to talk about the new album, Dirty Computer, here in a second, but you brought Prince up, and I'm wondering how that whole process works. I mean, he clearly saw some talent in you. Where was the connection? And does he just call you up out of the blue one day and say, hey, my name is Prince. I think you got some talent. Let's work together. How did the whole mentorship even start?
Well, it's funny that you say call. He actually did call me.
Did he really?
Yes.
Did you hang up and go, no, it's not?
Oh, I almost did. It's difficult. I mean, this is a great memory, but it's obviously bittersweet because I do miss him. And because we were close, it wasn't just like a distant person. I lost a musical hero. I lost a friend and someone who, I knew personally. But I'll tell you this short story. His DJ Rashida came backstage at a show I had done in L.A., and I was opening up for an artist named Raphael Sadiq, and she gives me this phone backstage. I'm freaking out because I just came off stage. I've just come off stage, and I had a sinus infection, and I didn't think I did a great job. And she was knocking on my door, and she was like, hey, I have someone on the phone for you. I'm like, what? Who are you? And she gives me this cell phone, and I just hear this voice say, hello, Janelle. And I'm like, hello, hi, hello, this is Prince. Who? Prince. What? And she's like nodding like, yeah, it's him.
Like it's really him. You don't
like,
believe it, right?
Talk. And I was like, wow, it's such, an honor to hear your voice. He was like, likewise. I really, really love what you're doing in the music industry, and I hate I did not come to your show. I got the times mixed up. And I was like, you were going to come. I was just freaking out at the thought of him. First of all, he was going to come see that show. And I was happy he didn't because I did not think I did a good job.
That was the universe working for you, right?
Yes, right? Despite what people were saying, about the show, I was like, no, it was great. And so he just invited me over to Paisley Park. He was like, would you like to come to Paisley Park? Not Paisley Park. So scratch that because we were in L.A.
Okay.
So he just invited us over. He said, would you like to come to a jam session? And I was like, a jam session? He was like, yeah, when people get together and jam. And I was like, yes, I would love that. He was like, all right, see you then. Click.
That's it.
And it was the greatest call of my life.
Wow.
Since then, we have had a relationship where he allowed us to open up for him in Madison Square Garden at the Forum. In fact, I gave him my first full-length album, The Archandroid, on a CD. I burnt it at Paisley Park and wrote out all the songs. And, he was on my last album. I mean, I have to thank him. I always try to speak his name and honor him as much as I can, because I don't think, without his groundwork and the groundwork that he laid with Paisley Park, I don't think I would, or Wonderland Records or Wonderland Art Society, my collective, I don't think we would know how far we could take it. So,
wow.
Well, I mean, he's living on in your music, because we definitely hear that when we're listening to Q100 and when we hear your latest single. And knowing what a tremendous mentor he was, we were talking about this recently on the show, and Bert's close mentor passed away not that long ago. And he still speaks to him.
Literally, I will talk to him and ask him for advice.
So I would let. I mean,
that.
do you still talk to him and like seek his advice from like another place?
I still feel his presence.
Yeah,
that's a real thing. I still feel his presence. I don't feel alone in this journey.
Do you want to trade mentor conversations one day where I can talk to Prince and you can talk to my friend Kid?
She's like, no, that's mine. Sorry.
Come on, just a real brief conversation. That's all.
It doesn't work like that. It's not like a pen pal.
I want to say, I mean, your music is phenomenal, and I wasn't lying to you when you came in studio. We're all massive fans of your art, but I have to commend you, and I was going to really kick myself if I didn't thank you for that beautiful speech you gave at the Grammys when you were introducing Kesha.
Oh, thank you.
Did you write that, or did you write that in collaboration with someone else?
I wrote it.
See,
and I obviously have a great team who will look over things and ask me, how do I feel about certain issues, and if I like to say it this way. But ultimately, I make the final say so on my edits. But I'm not crazy enough to just go out and speak about these topics without running them by people I trust and respect. Yeah.
Well, you could hear the passion behind it, and it was genuine and it's authentic. And I just wanted to thank you on behalf of women everywhere for having that voice and speaking our truth, because so often we're not believed and we're not listened to.
Yeah. Thank you. It was my honor, my pleasure.
I love that you publicly said that you identify with being pansexual. I read that in the morning. I'm like, oh my God, that is so great. And then I thought, I don't know what pansexual is. So I literally had to Google pansexual. Have you had feedback from people saying, thank God, now we have somebody that understands where we're coming from?
I've had a lot of positive feedback. It also was like one of the most searched words I hear on Webster on the dictionary online.
Bert was one.
I was one of them.
Were you one of those people that made it trend?
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, I think it's great. I mean, I'm proud to be a young African American queer woman, bisexual, pansexual woman, and pansexuality can mean something different to those who identify with it. For me, it's not about your gender. It's not about you being a woman or a man. It's about your spirit. It's about your heart. And that's what I see first. I see your character first. And those are things that will last longer than looks, than any of the physical appearance. And yeah, that's how I identify. And I felt like it was important to speak those words, because there are a lot of people, young and old, who are having a tough time, dealing with their sexual identity, and the suicide rates and the amount of drug abuse that goes into like mental health around those, feeling like they can't be themselves is something that we have to pay attention to. And we've been taught so much hate, to have so much hate for people who only want to love. And I choose to love, and I choose to love freely.
I had an interesting moment with my 15-year-old yesterday. when I was young, you never used the word queer. It was an insult, right? And I'm still sort of programmed that way. So he asked me what I was doing on the computer yesterday, and I said I was really excited that you were coming in. And I said, do you know who Janelle Monae is? And he's like, oh yeah, she just came out as being queer, right? And I'm like, what did you just say? And then he kind of settled me down. He's like, no, I didn't mean it like that. He knows my upset voice. And I guess now it is politically correct to say that, right? Whereas when I was growing up, that was hugely insulting.
I mean, I identify as that. You just have to respect people's, wishes and how they want to identify. But that's how I identify.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the album then, all right? Because you said that you're super duper proud of it, and you should be. I'm halfway through the video. Don't spoil it for me.
No, you have to keep watching.
I'm going to. Don't tell me how it ends.
Yes, you have to keep watching. Thank you, though, for taking the time. I appreciate it.
It's a great, artistic, beautiful video movie album. It really is. I mean,
thank you.
Are you very, very critical of your final product?
Yes.
So much so you can't even figure out which ones to put on an album or.
Yes. At some point, I have to be at peace with it and I have to let it go. I think with this particular project, because of the political climate, because of the things going on around women's issues, around the LGBTQIA community, around minority issues, around so many things that I care about, it was important for me to get this out immediately. It took some time to kind of articulate my thoughts and my emotions and not stay angry around certain topics. But once I got that, and once we had the storyline for Dirty Computer, which is follows a young girl by the name of Jane 57821. She's this dirty computer. She's in the near future. She's growing up in this totalitarian society where all of her memories and even her dreams are being erased because she's considered to have bugs and viruses and she needs to be cleansed. And so she's just holding on to her identity and trying to hold on to her last memories and dreams. So that's what you have with the film. And we wanted to get that right. We were not going to release anything until we got it right.
So good.
When you said you wanted to release some of that anger before you articulated how you felt, which I totally appreciate, because I do feel like we got a lot of angry people out here who are not following your lead, and I wish they would.
Everybody has their own journey.
True. Very, very true.
Do what works for you.
I'm glad I downloaded your album today. That's all I'm going to say. Because I might be one of those angry people. And track 10, I like that. It's speaking to me.
Oh, thank you. I'm
that
happy
one,
you like that.
I wish that was, I listened to that and I was like, I've never heard a song that I was like, I wish this was my anthem when I was 11 and now. It speaks to me in so many areas of my life.
What's the song?
That I needed to hear this. I like that. It's awesome. It's so cool. She's just talking about how somebody's talking smack to you, basically. And you're like, I always knew I was the shit.
I love her.
It's great.
Yeah, it's just a song about embracing what makes you unique, even if it makes other people uncomfortable. I mean, I think that as a young girl who was very experimental in my exterior, my image, and I cut my hair and I would wear thrift store clothes and vintage clothes, and I would be walking down the halls and people would be like, what is wrong with this girl? Why is she dressed like this? And I was just expressing myself, and then that was considered sometimes not beautiful to some of the guys, because sometimes beauty is just seen through one lens and one lens only. And what I wanted to do was just not make a song just for myself, but for other women that I know have gone through that. And you don't even have to be a woman to go through it. I think we've all dealt with those uncomfortable moments where we just don't feel celebrated for being ourselves. We feel more, judged or teased or ostracized. And it's just about embracing those unique qualities that only you can possess.
It's Janelle Monae. The new album is Dirty Computer, and the tour is August 4th and 5th here at the Tabernacle back home. That must be exciting for you.
Yeah, man, I'm excited. I'm going to try to do a third show. I think both shows are sold out.
Yeah, they got to push in somewhere bigger than that.
August 4th and 5th. I know. I didn't realize. I'm like, oh, man, what's the next step up? What is the next step up?
People like it.
The Fox?
I hope so.
I think Phillips Arena.
Phillips
Arena. Is the Fox bigger than Tabernacle or Tabernacle bigger than the Fox?
It's real close, isn't it?
I think.
The Fox is bigger. Yeah.
That would have been cool.
But Atlanta deserves a shout out because that was the first concert that sold out on your tour, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. You are right. I love Atlanta. Listen, I told you I got all of my inspiration and start right here in Atlanta, and I just feel it feels so great to be here.
Speaking of which, of course I had to read your Reddit AMA. I highly endorse that Childish Gambino collab, by the way.
Oh, thank you.
You got to make that happen.
You read my Reddit?
Yes,
Ooh,
of course.
I've been a moderator for about 6 years now on there. People, they're like, I didn't know that. I'm like, yeah, I love Reddit.
So yeah, we got to get the Childish Gambino thing to happen.
Yeah,
and I could see you also doing a cameo in Atlanta.
I know that they are killing it. I love this season. I love last season too.
I tell you too, like Donald Glover's vision, and like when you watch an episode, when you're done, you feel something.
Yeah,
I mean he's super talented. Like your music, talented. After you listen to a song, you feel something, and that's when you know your art's truly doing something good.
Well, thank you.
You guys know how to tell a story. For sure. For sure.
You know, we try. I try to just stay authentic and honest and as vulnerable as possible. You know, I won't always get things right, but I think it's you know, once your intentions are pure and you're doing it for just unselfish reasons, I think it can fall in place and work out.
Do you find it easy or difficult to be vulnerable? Because we know that's a huge way to connect with our audience by showcasing some of our, not that they're ugly parts, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, it's difficult sometimes. It's uncomfortable. I think for me, I've been more, like you just mentioned, I feel more connected when people are more honest and vulnerable. And I think with right now, we need as much as that as possible. We need empathy, you know, because I think through vulnerability comes empathy. Empathy, after that comes understanding. Through understanding, hopefully you like each other. Hopefully that leads to love, and hopefully that can lead to unity.
You seem at so peace and so calm. I'm just really curious, when is the last time you just lost your shit? I mean, just like yelled at somebody?
I just did that right before I came in here, so I got it all out.
What happened?
No.
Do you ever throw anything across the room? I just can't see you yelling at anybody.
I mean, you know, I have had my moments, but I will say that I am focusing on self-care, getting massages when I'm stressed out.
Yes.
More massages, going to more strip clubs, going to, you know, more meditation retreats.
There you go.
Just being more balanced.
Yeah.
And not trying to make everything so perfect, and being patient with myself and patient with my team. And, you know, when people make mistakes or errors, just forgiving and understanding that life goes on. It's not the end of the world. I allow some things to just roll off my back more than I would have probably in the past. So I don't allow myself to get that upset about something, because it's really not that deep.
Our studio director, Tommy, is back behind you, Bert, going, you listening to that, Bert?
You got to listen to it also.
Are you around here throwing things, Bert?
No, but we work so closely, we literally are on top of each other, and sometimes I get irritated.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's, you know what, you do need your personal space, but just say, hey, can you give me a few minutes?
Well, what he does is he writes on him with a marker.
He writes, oh, that's cute.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Or no, sorry.
Haven't really evolved out past the 7th grade in some areas.
I'm trying. You have to actively do it. Listen, I don't really got shit figured out. I'm in front of you guys. I'm trying to set a good example.
You're selling it well.
You are.
I'm trying.
Thank you.
I love having you in here. I love that you're having success. I love this album, and we will all be there in August at the Tabernacle. We'll somehow, some way, squeeze our way in there.
We'll figure you out. I'll put some lawn chairs in there.
All right. I'll start tailgating today. All right.
Yes, I love it.
Thanks for coming in. Good luck with
Thank
everything.
you, Bert. I'm such a fan. Thank you, ladies.
Thank
you.
So nice talking to you.
Funny. The Bert Show.